Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Haws. Today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is right now. Obviously we're in a bit of a red day, but that's to be expected as we've discussed this before. And then we're also going to be talking about why I think this isn't the peak. So specifically why I think that the bull market isn't over. We're going to be looking at measurements of how the bull markets have moved before and make best estimates of where we are right now. So first, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently sitting at 35,650. It is going through a bit of a red day, obviously going through that red candle. Now, we did talk about this numerous times, and I know a lot of people got optimistic by seeing this price action. I totally get it. I totally understand. But it is realistic that we just trade up and down in this level until we build up some support. So we've discussed that before. How long we will trade, I'm not quite sure. It could be weeks, it could be months. Really, we don't know. I think my assessment before of saying a V-shaped recovery probably isn't in the cards is probably accurate at this point. At this point, we would have to build up some support to get above the 42,000 mark and then again make it above the 52,000 to continue our bull market. But that doesn't mean that we can't go into a mini bear trend in a bull market, right? You always have to think about market cycles and cycles of markets and timing. It all ebbs and flows. It all goes up and it all goes down. You really have to remember that. Even if you look at the 1 minute chart, the 5 minute chart, the 1 hour chart, there's always going to be ebbs and flows, ups and downs. And that's exactly how crypto is going to move. Sometimes it's going to move sideways and wedge up. That is also a possibility. But again, we've discussed this, and I still think that we are going to be trading in this range for at least a little while until we can pick up the gears. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the Wyckoff model. Now, I don't know enough about Wyckoff trading and the Wyckoff trading method and the theory behind it. I haven't read any of Wyckoff's work, but I am looking into it. But I would predict that, if it represents a Wyckoff, it could possibly be a Wyckoff. We know that there's a lot of manipulation in the background, especially with Goldman Sachs and a lot of other big financial institutions now getting their hands on Bitcoin, right? So there's obviously going to be some market manipulation, and there's obviously going to be shakeouts, which is what I feel that we're in right now. Now, of course, even with shakeouts and everything else, I do think the price of Bitcoin was pumped up at way too quick of a rate even before. Like if we look here, that was a massive rise, and I think it was just out of character of where Bitcoin should have been. So we know that Bitcoin could have been a little bit more ahead of schedule at the time because of the news media and everything else propping up Bitcoin in that way, and then basically dumping on the community and getting a cheaper option to buy in. A lot of times they're shorting and longing the markets because they know exactly what's happening. And we see these massive candles. These massive candles are all basically giant institutions selling. We also saw that miners capitulated out of their wallets during this downturn. A lot of fear was in the market, but I definitely think weak hands are now out, and any investors that are serious about the space are invested and stay invested in Bitcoin and altcoins. So that's very important. So to discuss whether or not the market cycles are done, which I think is a valid question. People often ask this. We're going to move to the weekly chart here just to take a bigger look, a more zoomed out look. So these are our market cycles, right? So we went through a double peak here, right? Basically the bull and bear cycle up 3,500%, up 170% from this bottom to this bottom. And again, this is all a big new asset class. So really this trading data is very limited. So keep that in mind. This market cycle does not have to do the same thing that other market cycles have done. It really could do something completely different and we wouldn't even know. But we are basing our estimate right now on what previous market cycles have done and make a best guess of where we could be. Now, of course, we could also see a lengthening cycle, which is, ideally what we would see. It's a lot of what people are talking about the super cycle theory. So it could possibly be that we do see a much lengthened cycle and enter another bull cycle in 2022. It's very possible. But the thing is, I don't think that this is our market peak. And the reason why I don't think, if you look at the measurements here, in 2017, we went from the bull market or from the bear market in 2013 all the way to the bull market or the bear market in basically 2018. That was a 1,432%. Now, right now, if you look at where we are, sure, that's a huge percentage if we maintain this. Now, The reason why I say that this isn't the bottom is because of where our peak is. If our peak actually peaked out at roughly $62,000, then our bottom should be a lot deeper. Now, I'm basing that off of the measurement here. So going down to my green box, which I pre-measured, I have an 82% drop. You can see in every single market peak, we have dropped roughly 83% in each single market cycle. That doesn't mean that it has to drop the exact same amount. It could drop a lot less, 60%, whatever. But right now, the drop that we've seen is not enough to warrant a market bottom or a total crash. So that's why I'm thinking that this so far isn't the peak. Now, could we go down further? Could we actually go down to this market peak? I mean, yeah, I guess so. But looking at how this market peak is and how pronounced this market peak is, this is much more of a parabolic rise where Bitcoin was just basically trading level. It built a lot of support and everything else, and then a bunch of news media came around and made the price go down. So I would speculate at this point that this probably isn't the market peak. I would actually put good money that this isn't the market peak. So what does that mean for where Bitcoin's going? So obviously at this point, we are in a bit of a lull period. If you look at the daily, we are below the 200-day moving average now. Now, we have been to this point before, back around 2018 when the market crashed. That doesn't mean that we're at the market bottom. It does mean that there is a big test here to see what Bitcoin's going to do next. So I'll admit, as much as it's not looking great for Bitcoin at this point, it's also not really looking that bad. Realistically, there's still a lot of gas in the tanks for Bitcoin to make a move up and recover out of this zone. And I definitely think it's going to do that, but I think it's going to be a fight and absolutely try to trade level until it can finally make up that time. So it could be that we don't see a bullish trend until a couple of months from now, and I want everyone to expect that that's a reality. But the big thing to keep in mind, again, is you're looking at trends and everything else. And we can't really look at Bitcoin as a bullish trend until we start seeing Bitcoin make levels above the 42,000. We know that there's a lot of selling pressure that put Bitcoin down into this space. And until it breaks out of it and into this zone, I don't think we're going to have a bullish sentiment on Bitcoin. Now, again, I'm not saying that this isn't going to happen. I'm just saying it's not going to happen right now. So the people seeing pumps like this getting all bullish on Bitcoin need to really take a step back and reevaluate exactly what's going on. That being said, that there's still a lot of gas in the altcoin market cap. Now, of course, the total market cap right now is down. According to Bitcoin, everything drops with Bitcoin. Now, we could see altcoins pump adjacent to Bitcoin if Bitcoin actually just trades level. But if Bitcoin capitulates further down, I don't have much hope that altcoins are going to go through this amazing cycle without Bitcoin. Not quite yet, at least. But I do believe as long as we're trading within the 32,000, 42,000, as long as we haven't dropped below the 32,000 significantly, then ultimately I have a bullish sentiment on where Bitcoin's going to go. I do think that it'll pick up this market cycle, this bull market, at a later date. When that is, I'm not quite sure. It could be a couple of weeks. It could be a couple of months. I'm probably going to assume at this point that we will see the bull market re-pick up closer to the 2022 mark. So most likely we'll have kind of a sideways action summer. Maybe we'll try to get some breakouts above the 42. We'll be rejected and we'll just trade in this zone. That's most likely what's going to happen until finally we break out of the 42 and then continue our bull market. Now, in terms of Cardano, because we are going to be talking about Sundaeswap here as well in this video, Cardano is holding again at our $1.50. And again, it can bounce around this level. I'm totally okay with it. As long as it holds around this level, I'm totally fine. We see a lot of strength too with Ethereum as well. Ethereum's roughly 24.40. Obviously, we're dipping because of Bitcoin, but it is showing a little bit more strength than Bitcoin does. And I think the narrative is shift. I think a lot of people are thinking about altcoins a little bit more, but obviously these prices are getting pretty low. And this is why I said dollar cost average. Make sure that you have a little bit on the sidelines so you can catch dips like this. Don't just buy green candles, be ready to buy dips. So talking about Sundaeswap specifically, Sundaeswap, actually, they did an AMA. I'm going to go ahead and link that down in the comments somewhere down below So go check out that. And one thing that they discussed was actually making the identities known of the team so we know exactly who's behind the project. They also mentioned that they spoke with Charles Hoskinson, but they weren't willing to give up any details from that discussion. So we can only speculate exactly what was said. But I assume at this point that Charles approves of the project. And I get tons of questions so far in the comments talking about how can I buy Sundae token? How can I get involved? June 1st, they're going to be setting out a timeline of exactly how all this will happen, how we'll be able to stake our ADA into a stake pool and earn Sundae tokens as a reward. I will be on top of it, I promise you. So as soon as all of that's out, all you have to do is subscribe, and I promise you I will keep you up to date on exactly what Sundaeswap is doing, and I'll also be providing liquidity. In the meantime, if you want to learn about DeFi or anything else, you can go ahead and try PancakeSwap. I'm a huge proponent of PokeSwap if you're a little bit more of a technical person. But I'd absolutely try to play around with those platforms first. That way you know exactly what you're doing getting into Sundaeswap. All right, everyone, I hope this video helped calm some nerves. Obviously, red days are going to happen, but we got to be prepared and ride the wave. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And happy hodling.